45 years ago, our founder, Len Fisher, who was an ERISA attorney by trade, came up with this process. He was working with one of his clients who had most of his assets in a retirement account, and Len utilized the IRS code and, tax, all the information that the IRS lays out and realized, hey, you can do this if it's done properly. So it kind of happened by accident, and he created this process. And 45 years later, 50,000 plus clients later,
Wow.
we've really created a whole industry around that product. So yeah, it's very much legal. It's very much blessed by the IRS. I think, Giuseppe, the first 15 years of us kind of in business, it was a lot more, lobbying, with the IRS to get their blessing on this.
Right.
But, they have since giving us the kind of green light and nod that, you know what, Rob's is something that's going to be here and here to stay. And you have our blessing as long as you have an organization like Benetrends or some of our competitors that are doing it properly and managing those accounts. So, yeah, man, it's again just an option most people don't realize is at their fingertips. And honestly, man, it's not very complicated. I think a lot of people, to your point, like, think it's like, I've never heard of this, so it gives them a natural kind of hesitation. But it's really no different, Giuseppe, of the rollovers most of us have done in our corporate life, right?
Right.
So I was kind of, when I sat across Len 10 years ago, when he explained this to me, he explained it to me in a way that it made sense to me. And I
Yeah.
do that a lot with our candidates because they do come from corporate backgrounds, right? So we're both New Jersey guys, right? We got hundreds of different pharmaceutical companies here, right? So let's just say I'm, an analyst at Johnson and Johnson, right? And I have a 401k with J&J. Let's say there's $300,000 in there. And I get an opportunity to go work for Pfizer, right? Typically, what we do in scenarios like that is I'll take my J&J 401k with $300,000. I'll roll that out into an IRA, or I can just roll that into Pfizer's new 401k. And going from one qualified retirement plan, you never pay taxes and penalties on that transaction. All of us have done that in corporate life, right? You have 300, you move
Right.
to one, super simple. When I'm at Pfizer and I'm going through all my onboarding and training, and they're setting me up with my benefits and, Fidelity 401k or Schwab, whatever they set me up with, and I'm going through investment options within that 401k, Giuseppe, a lot of times one of those investment options is purchasing company stock.
Mhm.
Right? Again, something I know I did in my technology career. You've probably done it. Most of the people that we work with have done it. At the time, I didn't realize it was kind of setting off a chain of events, right? So if I look at that 300k and I say, you know what, I'll take 100 of it and invest it in Pfizer,
Mhm.
I can do that. And then what happens is my 401k just now owns the amount of shares that I just purchased for Pfizer. And that $100,000 that I used to purchase it, it doesn't remain in my Fidelity account. It doesn't float in financial purgatory somewhere. It goes to Pfizer in one of their many corporate checking accounts that company could now use for whatever legitimate business expense that they want, right? R&D, products, salaries, real estate, anything. So what Len figured out and what we do at Benetrends is literally that same exact chain of events, but instead of doing it for Johnson or Pfizer or Amazon, we set up Minatelli Enterprises, right? Within Minatelli Enterprises, we set up a qualified customized retirement plan. And then we can take that same $300,000 from my old J&J 401k, we roll it into Minatelli Enterprises, new qualified retirement plan. And just like before, going from one qualified plan to the next, no taxes and penalties. And then what happens is the retirement account that Ben Trends created for me is now just going to purchase privately held stock in that Minitelli Enterprises. And then through that privately held stock purchase, Giuseppe, the retirement account's going to own privately held shares. $300,000 now goes to Mike Minatelli's corporate checking account that I could now use for any legitimate business expense.
The Rob's plan is a game changer.
but it's rarely used in isolation. True financial strategy comes from knowing how to combine it with other powerful options, like an SBA loan, to create an unstoppable funding package. We've only shown you one piece of the puzzle. To learn how this fits into a complete multi source funding strategy, watch our comprehensive guide to franchise financing linked in the description.